Yeah, I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers team, right? We look at their record, obviously top of the East, but when you really go down their lineup, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, they have two superstars, but when you compare their two superstars to our two superstars, it's not even a comparison. And when you have a team like the Boston Celtics with superstars at just probably like three tiers higher than Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, you're just you're already at a disadvantage. And then the rest of the team were to follow. And kind of like what Seamus was talking about, the only player I really think that can go after against this Boston team is Sam Hauser. I mean, you can try and go after Pritchard, but everyone talks about how Pritchard can't play defense. I've seen him get steals. I've seen him even get up there, contest shots. I know only 6 feet tall, but he pulls his own. And when you have a team like the Cavaliers, who's at the top of the East, you really can't even compare. It's like uh, the Celtics. It's only a matter of time. Maybe after All-Star break, we take over that number one seed. I don't know what you guys think, but this Cavalier team, I think, is pretty fraudulent.
I
That's
think
gonna be the
there's a lot of room. I mean, the Cleveland. I agree. I'm with you on the Cavaliers. In their performance this season, I think every year there's usually one or two teams that kind of show out in the regular season, and then once the game slows down, it gets a little bit tougher for them come April. I think Cleveland could fall into that category. I will say this in terms of catching them, we play them one more time on, I believe, the 28th post All-Star break. That game is going to be crucial in terms of if we want to catch them or not, or if it's a realistic possibility. If we lose that game, I'd kiss it goodbye.
Yeah,
There's a good chance you don't see Cleveland lose 5 more games this season at the rate they've been playing. It's very, very likely. So, while Boston has closed that margin, guys, I still do think there is a lot of work to do in terms of not only just getting back on track, because I'm going to bombshell you. This team is not officially back, right? I'm sorry, it's not. Four straight wins is a great place to be, but there's still a lot this team needs to make up for. But I do think, personally, I don't know where you guys are at, but I do think there's a world the Celtics can catch them.
Yeah, definitely. There is. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers aren't really a team that I've been waiting for the Cleveland Cavaliers to come back down to earth. I obviously see where their talent lays. I think Donovan Mitchell is an accredited star, probably one of the best guards in the East, if you had to ask me, or one of the best top 5 guards in the NBA right now. I think he's definitely proven himself and proven to be a dominant player. And I want to give a little credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers' depth. They all are great positional players and really fit well into the rotation. That's why you saw the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't really make any adjustments to their roster after last year's upsetting elimination from the Celtics in the second round. But we're in it's a team that you would expect to see a lot more from going forward. But I think that the Celtics are really going to be able to maintain a level of consistency, and we saw them get off to that hot start earlier on the season, and I think you're about to see them go on another stretch like that, especially heading into the All Star break with the competition that is ahead. But and then after that, I think it's really gonna be them establishing what works for them, and it's really uh, nailing down that versatility that they've been playing with.
yeah. I
I'm gonna
mean,
go
like,
back to us catching the Cavs. We have our strength of schedule left is 476, so that's a 476 winning percentage. Cavs is 491, so they play a little bit of a tougher schedule than we do. We obviously play them one more time. They have the Grizzlies twice, the Knicks 3 times, the Pacers twice, Clippers twice, and the Bucks once. Those are their toughest opponents. And then we have OKC one more time. Obviously, we have Cleveland again, Memphis once, the Knicks 3 more times, the Nuggets once, and the Lakers once. So I think those 7 or 8 games is really going to decide who's the number 1 seed.
I mean, I feel like I keep on reiterating myself, but I'm going to just keep saying it, right? This Cleveland Cavaliers, they're not winning anything unless they do something. They're just not. Someone clipped the Orlando Magic, I think, win before the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, with the core group the Magic have, I think they're more talented than the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have more depth. They have a better bench. This Cleveland Cavaliers team has 2, arguably all-stars, 1 definite all-star, and then Garland, who's, reserve, whatever. But you need more than that to win in this league, and they've been a second round exit.
Well, let's focus on the Boston side of this though, because I
will say though the Cavs side is important too, because I'm going to agree with Randy on the fact that I don't think this Cleveland Cavaliers team is going to win anything this year.
They remind me
And
of
I think it's going to be up to us in order to stop that.
I
And
agree.
That's why I think this conversation is kind of important. But literally looking at the Cavaliers, they lack versatility across the board.
Yeah.
They do. Franco talked about versatility. The Celtics have it. The Cavaliers don't. They play that double big lineup with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Well, we were playing Jason Tatum on Evan Mobley tonight, and Evan Mobley, he shot 3 of 14 from the floor and wasn't impactful whatsoever for an all-star. And then look at their bench. If you want to switch it up a little bit for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's coming off your bench? You have LeVert, Niang, Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill. Those are all guys who ultimately the Boston Celtics feel 100% comfortable mismatching with either Brown or Tatum and just completely going to work every single time. And that's ultimately why I believe the Cleveland Cavaliers at some point in this season, later on in time, no matter what record they achieve, if they're ahead of the Boston Celtics, behind the Boston Celtics in the standings, I think the Boston Celtics will beat them in the NBA playoffs. The Celtics will beat the Cavaliers in the NBA playoffs if another team doesn't beat the Cleveland Cavaliers first. But it's all about the mismatches and matchups out here. And the Celtics, they have them against the Cavs. And that's why I think right now, I agree with you, Rob, that, okay, the team, I came in here saying we're back. We are back from a standpoint of we're putting wins together finally again and not just going back and forth. But at the same time, the Celtics, they really have to go further into their schedule and do this time and time again. But I also thought tonight's game showed us a lot from the standpoint of the Celtics. If they want to get up to play, they will. We've seen that recently from the team. But secondly, the Boston Celtics, they're just a better equipped squad in terms of their roster versatility than every other team across the league. And that's really what's going to play to their advantage against any team they face in the playoffs, especially this Cleveland Cavaliers team. I think if you're a Cavs fan tonight, you're looking at this matchup going, okay, we know we're a better squad than Boston in terms of record, but are we really on the court? They beat us twice this season, could have beat us 3 times. I'm not so sure of that.
Yeah,
I'll also add,
I want to add one more thing real quick, right? It's a perfect time for the Celtics to be heating up, and it's a really, really bad time for this Cavaliers team to, start going ice cold. And I'll let you take it from there, Zach, but it's a bad time for the Cavs to get cold.
I think the biggest thing about the matchup with Cleveland isn't necessarily when you're thinking about the 1 seed, it's not home court advantage is nice, obviously, but I don't think we need home court advantage to beat the Cavs. I think the biggest benefit of the 1 seed is not having to play New York in round 2. I would much rather play the Indiana Pacers, whether or not they're a more difficult matchup, play style wise. I don't want to get into a 7-game series with the New York Knicks because they play physical. And it's a better matchup, I think, for us. Even if we have to play Giannis in the Bucks, if they would beat the Pacers, I'd rather play the Bucks or the Pacers than the Knicks.
Yeah,
I think the one benefit, and that's a really good point. I think the one benefit of seeing New York in round 2 is there's that hope, and I know this is terrible to say, but there's that hope that Tibbs is just going to run those guys into the ground. And you're already starting to see it, man. I mean, OG just went down with an injury just the other night. But no, I kind of agree with all of you right now. Actually, literally everything you guys have said. Seamus and Randy. Randy, you actually make a pretty valid point it's kind of a shame because they're 40-10. So to make a big splash and upgrade your roster is kind of, it would be, there's no logistics, right? There's no logistics from a owner. Although to be fair, is there really any logistics to any move anymore? But it's really tough to make a move when you're in 40-10. That is a big splash. And when I look at this Cleveland, if I'm looking at the Cleveland side of things, right? Again, this is the exact same roster. You lost 5 games to Boston last year in the NBA playoffs, right? Really, this is the same roster you should have got sent home in the first round against Orlando if Orlando had a sniff of playoff experience before that first round matchup. So yes, I agree. This is a team, let's give some props to Kenny Atkinson, right? He is a new head coach coaching for this Cleveland Cavaliers team, and he's doing a much better job. However, at the end of the day, Seamus, you make a very valid point with this Cleveland team. They're not versatile. They're one-dimensional. When you go past Garland and Mitchell, what else really is there? And then if you look at it from a defensive standpoint, right, this is a very firepower offense, right? They are high scoring. They are quick. They can put buckets up at a very high volume. But what they aren't is they aren't a great defensive team. And it's going to take especially if you're seeing either Milwaukee or Indiana, assuming those hold 4-5 in that second round, they're going to be able to score right with you. It's going to come down to what team can get stops in the thick of it. So, while this Cleveland narrative is nice to, talk about against Boston, they have some real work to do in terms of getting to the conference finals if they want to see Boston to establish first. So, I think that tonight was kind of a reminder of that. Well, hold on, pump the brakes, hold up. We still have the champs. We're still the team to beat. Cleveland, let's hold back a little bit, So definitely, I think a reality check, a come back down to earth game for Cleveland.